Boy, Volkanovski's in a good spot. What a good headspace he is in. That guy is so impressive. He's an impressive man, right? People say that fighting creates character. Other people say that fighting reveals character. Neither is right. It's just something that some prick says that he thinks sounds good and he thinks that he's virtue signaling something to you. But they're dancing around an idea that's true. Staying hungry when you're on top, it's the battle that every champion goes through. And only a few people in all of life ever become champions. So it's a very rare spot. You have a very rare focus group. You have a very rare pool that you can look to and study from. Volkanovski just said, you want to know what this is predicated on? Volkanovski just said, he's completely wrong, by the way. Volkanovski just said, with a win on July 2nd over Max Holloway, I become the GOAT of 145 pounds. I love it, and I am so impressed by it because he's talking about being a champion who's hungry. He thinks he has something else to prove. He has another goal. He does not believe it's done yet. That's where he's wrong. It's even a silly statement. He's so wrong. Volkanovski's the GOAT right now. The GOAT of 145 pounds is Volkanovski. By the way, going out and beating a guy that you've already beaten, oh, and by the way, twice, that's just a silly statement. You got to beat a guy 3 times to be the GOAT? That makes no kind of sense, right? But it's what he believes. And whatever the athlete believes is true. I mean, in most walks of life, that's a real thing. But it really gets exposed and shown within sport. And what Volk is telling us is that I am not satisfied. Now, once he becomes GOAT, he's going to have a whole new set of problems. Was that his final bar? If it was, we're going to see the beginning of the end of Volkanovski. I don't think it will be. I think he'll move the goalpost on himself again. I think he'll set up a new challenge. I think he's that guy. I think he's that good. I think he's that tough. I think he's that special. One thing that Volkanovski does not get credit for, and you've got to give him credit. Everybody that becomes champion changes. They'll all swear up and down and sideways that if I ever get there, I'll never change. And they'll see somebody else that got there and changed. All of a sudden isn't taking their phone call. I'll never be like that guy. But they change in some way. It does change you because things have changed. And champions are never hungry. They're just not. And even if you see an active champion, you see a good guy that's not a closet champion. He goes out there, he takes on everybody, he stays really busy. He deserves a lot of credit. But that's different than Volkanovski, who is seeking competition. Volkanovski is not just saying yes when his phone rings. He's making the phone call. Hey, can I get a fight? Hey, can I get over here? Every interview I hear from Volkanovski gets done with a fight, goes to the press conference and tries to get his next fight. Not just say something tough to add to the allure. He tries to get a commitment. He tries to get an opponent and a date right then. We do not. That's not the way champions do it. The way we wish that they do it. Which is why we need to make sure that we acknowledge and give Volkanovski credit. He is right to a degree as he discusses the importance of Max. It's very important that Volkanovski beat Max. If Volkanovski loses to Max, are they going to go fight for their 100th time? I mean, right, it's one of those things, like anything, like you got to stop at one point, but these guys have pulled themselves away from the pack. That is for sure the right fight to make. You for sure have the champion. You for sure have the number one contender. It's a very interesting contest. And Volk has now revealed to us what is driving him. This was not a ton of time for Volkanovski to get ready for his absolute hardest match. For his, without question, lifelong biggest rival. This is not a ton of time. It was a short 6 days ago that in the war room, in this very spot, set the names of Nate Diaz versus Chimaev. Those names come off, and this one comes. That's a massive fight. It's a very massive fight, at least for them, for what they do, for what they've done, and for what they're going to have to do. That got made. That got made on what, May 9th? And they're going to be in the ring July. So you just don't see a lot of champions that do that. A lot of champions would come with a lot of reasons, in fact, to not do that. Volkanovski deserves a ton of credit, but he's also revealed something for us. And it's very good if you're Team Volkanovski, which is he is not satisfied. He is not talking about what he did yesterday. He is not resting on his laurels. He is well aware of what he's got in front of him, and he's right. He's got a big damn problem in front of him. Because as much as Volkanovski showed us that he's motivated, Max has done the same thing. Max got knocked down and came up the hard way, which as a contender, very difficult to do. It's a great match, and I love that. But I just want to speak to Volk right now because he does deserve your appreciation. To be a champion who's active, to be a champion who takes the hardest fight, nobody takes their hardest fight on 6 weeks' notice and puts the world strap on the line. It's just not how it's done. It's just not. Should be, and you wish that it was. And sometimes you get a big favor called in. It's going to be a main event. You're a company guy. You want to go stay the show. None of that is happening here. It's not the main event. Not the biggest fight of the night. It's a fight for a fighter. That's what he does. It's what they all say they're going to do. They all say they're not going to change. They all do, except apparently Volkanovski.